Thank you, Mr. Chair. I find it, unfortunately, frequent that my friends, and the chair is one of my friends on the other side, often in these issues about the Trump administration and Russia, go back and refer to something that might have happened with Obama, and they go, but this happened then. And it's not really important what happened then. That's in the history books. It's what's happening now on our watch. And to go back and suggest that, oh, something happened then, doesn't mean you should be mute on issues that are before us today. Professor Kinkoff, you were involved with the Justice Department. Can the Attorney General do his job if he is under a cloud of suspicion of giving false testimony before a Senate panel?
It certainly makes the job difficult. So I wouldn't say it's impossible to do the job. I guess, yes, it's possible to do the job. It's much more difficult, depending on how serious the cloud is.
You were a counsel to Senator Biden during the impeachment trial of President Clinton.
That's true.
The gravamen of that case was that he lied. It wasn't the fact that he engaged in oral sex with an intern. It was the fact that he lied about it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So lying is real important under oath.
That's correct.
What's the proper remedy, or where should this Congress go when there's an issue about whether somebody gave false testimony to this the Senate under confirmation hearings?
Well, if there's a serious and credible basis for believing someone has given false testimony, then I think Congress should take that very, very seriously and consider a contempt citation and hearings in support of that.
And would that be limited to the Senate where the testimony was given, or could it be this particular House as well in the Judiciary Committee, since it involves the integrity of our government and our Attorney General?
This committee certainly has legitimate oversight authority with respect to the Justice Department, so it would be a legitimate exercise. And perhaps the Senate would, if the Senate wanted to look into it, they might take precedence because it was a Senate hearing.
And Mr. Jacobs, I see you had some experience with Mr. Pence.
That's correct.
Sometimes we've had people suggest that this is just Democrats being upset about losing the election. I want everybody to know my concern is not the Democrats. I'm concerned the Democrats lost the election. I'm concerned that the Russians might have influenced it. But I'm more concerned with the idea that we don't have somebody like Vice President Pence as president who we don't have to have concerns about possibly doing irrational things and blowing up the universe. Your former boss has served on this committee, had a well-earned reputation for being honest, somewhat little bleep with the general, but it was clear it was the general who led him astray. And you know, we would look forward to your being in the executive branch. So it's not necessarily an issue with Republicans. It's the particular person who is not really a Republican. He's taken over the party in a coup at the ballot box. But that's just kind of where we are. On this law, Professor Figley, assuming I understand where you're coming from on the farmer's suit and Professor Kinkoff his, I don't know, it has to be, settle a case. That's done, you have to have a place to pay it. And this law would just make it public and give notice. So if that was done, we would have known more about it or earlier about the Latino payments, but it wouldn't necessarily make it illegal. Is that not correct? Under this proposed law?
Under the openness law, that bill, it would not make any difference. As I understand it, this hearing is on a broader topic of the judgment fund. If there was a cap placed on the judgment fund, that would have made a difference.
Okay, well, that might be the case. My time's about up. I'm going to ask you a personal question just to see if it's my eyes and my memory. Has anybody else thought you looked a little bit like Paul Newman?
Oh, I wish.
Well,
Thank you. I'll take that home and see if it flies with my wife.
good. Michael, yield back the balance.